What is up, guys? I am Neil Barrett, and that's Clea. And on today's video, I've got my good friend Brian Walker. Most of you probably know him as BrianKnowsLax online. And today we're taking a look at the Denver Outlaws versus New York Atlas game, specifically the Brennan O'Neill versus Gavin Adler matchup, and trying to figure out what was bad offense and what was good defense. One quick side note, when we were recording, we were using some video playback, and on our screens everything looked fine, but as you'll see, it didn't quite come out that way in the recording. I don't know why. It's my first time using this program. Hopefully, if we do this again, we'll have a better solution. So the video isn't the greatest quality, I'm aware. Hopefully you can still kind of see and understand what we're talking about, but that is an issue. So just be aware of that. There's a lot to get into, so let's not delay and let's just get into it. All right, we're here with Brian. Brian, why don't we start by, why don't you tell us a little bit about kind of your story in the game?
Yeah, so Brian Walker from Syracuse, New York. So everybody claims it, but from the Mecca of lacrosse. So just growing up, just had lacrosse in my life since I was in fourth grade. My older cousin needed a ball boy for his high school team. Ended up being the ball boy. So they just started from there. Got handed a long pole. Fell in love with defense. So it's been just a lifelong thing. College career didn't quite happen like I wanted it to. Had death of my father, so like my college career never really ended up the way I wanted it to. So I had to stretch where I kind of fell out of love with the game, because you're finding reasons just to stop doing things, and then within actually right around the pandemic, right before I kind of just fell in love with the game, because I'm like, man, I love this game and it just makes me feel good. Right around then, kind of I was off of social media completely, hopped on to Twitter. Chose the BrianKnowsLax to play off of the Bo Jackson, the Bo Knows, which I thought was like one of the coolest ads, because like I'm into fashion design and like ads, stuff like that. I thought that was like the coolest thing ever when I was younger. So yeah, just ended up just becoming a small micro personality out there. I just like love talking about the game from the defensive perspective, and kind of here we are now where people like what I say sometimes. So which is how we met.
Yeah, that's exactly how we met. I probably, well, it's probably been more the last year or so, but I think we had some interactions before, but yeah, it's funny because actually the reason that I was like, I want Brian to come on here is because I was at the games in Boston when
awesome.
The game that we're specifically going to be looking at was taking place, and I was sitting there, and I was on the side where in the, I guess it's the first and the third, I think, Brennan O'Neill was on my side of the field. So like he's right in front of me, and I'm watching this matchup, and I left that game just feeling so frustrated and being like, dude, like what in the world? And then I hop onto Twitter and I see your tweets, and you're like, Adler's the man, he shut him down. And I'm like literally, I wasn't mad. I didn't even think that you were wrong or anything. I was like, what is Brian seeing that I'm not seeing? Like legitimately was thinking like I'm missing something, because I've never probably gone fully into my story on my channel, but I've pretty much only ever played offense. There was a little bit when I first started playing where I was midfield, but we were playing varsity lacrosse, but we were all brand new at the game. We were essentially playing what would now probably be like high level middle school lacrosse. It was real not high level. So midfield, even when I was on that defensive end, it was a lot of kind of freestyle basketball, just kind of like, you get on your man and you kind of man to man, and that was it. We maybe did a zone once. But all that to say, like there wasn't high level defensive schemes and stuff that I was learning. The whole rest of my career has been as an attackman. So I was literally just reading your tweets, and I'm like, I know Brian's a defensive dude. I don't think he's lying, but what is he seeing that I'm not seeing? So with that in mind, the question is, Brian, what are you seeing that I'm not seeing?
Yeah, it's interesting though, but I think it's kind of just how we are as sports fans. You always kind of see the game from the offensive perspective, where it's just like, okay, they scored this many goals, they did this, and this, or like because the same thing where I haven't seen him play pro, but I've seen Brennan O'Neill play at the Dome, and just like he's just different, man. So I didn't take it from the perspective of everybody being just like, oh man, he's had a terrible game. It's like I don't so much think he had a bad game. It's just like just the way he plays, where I'm just kind of watching. It's not nonchalant. It's that Jeff T thing where you're so good where you kind of let the game come to you and you're just like, I'm just going to help the team. I'm going to pick my spots. He just wasn't able to. But also I think it was just how the Atlas schemed, and I don't think it was anything in combination on just BO on his own. It was just like a lot of other things that go into it that people don't see, which was cool that you wanted me to get on here. We could talk about that because I think people don't realize it and don't notice it.
Yeah, and I will say, going back through the footage to prepare for this, there were things that even I noticed that I was like, oh, okay, that the Atlas are doing some things really, really well. But you know, we can go ahead and jump into it. Let me.
So on this play. So this is interesting. So it's one of the things I love about Gavin's game is that he doesn't throw a whole lot of checks. It's very much positional. It's not sexy, but it gets the job done. So when BO's going on this play, you'll notice as BO's going and he's starting to get towards GLE, I think he can see the pick being set for him. So he pushes BO upfield a little bit. So he goes over the pick. So that's like a thing on defense where you got to pick one. You're either going to go through the pick, your teammate calls it out, or you make that switch. But it's Brennan O'Neill. You don't want to make the switch. So Gavin pushes him upfield. He gets over the pick. And what actually happens, because who sets the pick? Is that Josh Zawada that sets the pick? I don't remember who.
No, that's Bundy.
Okay, yeah. So Graham Bundy sets the pick. So actually, so this is what I'm talking about. When people don't see it from aren't checking, they're just like, oh, why Brennan O'Neill just didn't do anything. So when Bundy sets the pick, 57 is what Camizio, right, from the Atlas. He kind of stands there, and what actually Bundy should have done was roll to the goal. Because 57 just stands there and he's kind of just watching, because it's that same thing where the defense changes because it's Brennan O'Neill. He stays because he's ready to double him. And then so you can kind of see Brennan look at him and he wants to make that pass, but he doesn't. So then it becomes Gavin Adler still staying there with him. He's right there. What actually should have happened was him making that pass. Because again, I'm pointing to the screen like they can see, but if Bundy rolls to the cage, then he could be at GLE one-on-one and get that shot off. So there, it's Gavin does exactly what he's supposed to do, goes upfield with them, stays on his hip. See, right there, should have rolled to the cage, because he's a full, probably, see, now he's 3-4 steps, 5 steps now from getting back.
Yeah, I think it's gonna get worse.
Yeah, right there. So look at now, what are you, 10-ish yards, and there's nobody there. He's supposed to roll, but Bundy stands there. So then the peanut gallery goes, well, Brennan O'Neill should have done something. He did what he was supposed to do because he's ready to make the pass. It's that young thing where it's just a young team. Graham Bundy, he doesn't roll there. So then so then he's able to recover. Then boom, right there, he recovers because Bundy stands there too, and he just stands at the cage. That could have been an assist right there.
Yeah, that's something that I'll talk about later with the offense. But yeah, there's a lot of that kind of stuff. So it's funny. I think we have picked a lot of the same plays, and you're looking at what the defense is doing, and I'm looking at what the offense is doing. So, okay.
Yeah. So this one you can run it through.
I did want to say I didn't notice that that Adler sees the pick and pushes.
Yeah.
When you say that, I totally see it. He pushes so that there's a gap. He can't run off the pick, because that's what they teach you, coming right off that shoulder of the pick. And because of that push, he creates separation, and now they can cleanly navigate that pick. So
yeah, and people don't notice that, and and it's different. So if it's somebody besides Brennan O'Neill, maybe Gavin's like switch. And he just goes and he switches, but because it's Brennan O'Neill, pushes him upfield, gives him that little bit of space there where I can come up on him and I'm staying on his hip. He's not going anywhere.
So what are you seeing on this one?
You can run it through.
Because this is actually because Adler's not on him here. This is 57. Who I don't remember who you said that was.
Let me, because I don't want to mess up. Actually,
because
I know people are gonna be like, Brian, you're an Atlas fan, you're supposed to know this, but a lot of numbers and a lot of people run through.
I think that first clip was actually 34, which is that Razanka?
Yeah, Razanka.
Okay. But this one is definitely 57.
Yeah, Chet Kamizio. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so first one's Peyton Razanka. Second one's Chet Kamizio. Okay, so yeah, this is when he's dodging Chet.
Yeah, so they've gotten a switch, and
okay, so this one's interesting. So it's okay. I have a shorty dodge. Brennan O'Neill dodge a shorty, which he does. So Gavin Adler's not on him, but again, I'm playing Brennan O'Neill because you'll see, because as soon as he starts to dodge, Gavin Adler just like, so depending upon the team, it might just say like fire or something, meaning that somebody's gonna slide. So Gavin Adler's like, I'm gonna slide as soon as he looks up and starts that dodge, which he does. So then it's the same thing again, where I think people automatically think when you're dodging, it's automatically, I gotta dodge the score. Brendan's looking up, his head's up, he's like, I'm ready to make the pass. Gavin Adler slides on him before him. So and then kind of it's like that thing where, because I think we talked about it on Twitter before with Lyle Thompson's, where when you're playing with somebody that's just like that savant, that's always looking up, that people still have to adjust. And I think the Outlaws are still in that kind of mode where they're all adjusting to playing with each other, because he's looking up. So the switch has been made now because Gavin Adler's there and he's looking up, and everybody's still kind of just standing like, okay, Brendan's going to do something. And a couple things are at play with that, because as a defender, when it's Brennan O'Neill, I'm okay with leaving my man. I'm going to slide quickly, because if I do it fast enough, Brennan O'Neill in this instance doesn't have enough time really to react. And they're down 7-1. So now they're kind of all at that thing where it's like somebody's going to do something we think is going to be Brennan. So they're standing there. So they're kind of doing him a disservice because he wants to pass. But again, nobody's kind of really moving around, and they make it easier for Gavin, because as a defender, I'm like, sweet, thank you. Because everybody's standing around, I can go. Right? And I don't have to worry about it, because usually from the offensive side, because what do they say? Usually you see the back of your defender's head, you go, they don't know when he goes.
Yep. Again, something that I'll talk about.
And then, right there, then we're even.
And then then we get this one-on-one. Everybody kind of clears out for him.
Mm-hmm. And this was probably the best opportunity he had, because he gets so he gets on him, and then that's like the thing where it's like just very few times, because I don't really, the size sometimes helps you, sometimes doesn't, because Gavin's short, but he's like stocky, and so Brennan's able to kind of lean into him, and he when he makes that spin, because Gavin kind of goes to push him, he spins back. So this is actually like his best opportunity, and that's like one of those ones where Gavin just never gives up, kind of gives him kind of that slight push. We're playing pro, so I'm not worried about like a push in the back or anything, but that was actually the best dodge that he had. That's like one of the very few times I think he kind of beat him on that.
Yeah. Again, I'll talk about it, but this I liked. I think you're right. Adler's right there with them. Mm-hmm. Adler doesn't necessarily do anything wrong.
Right.
I think offensive guys have a little bit of an advantage in a one-on-one, and this was just one. Again, I'll talk about it later, but I think in retrospect, probably Adler's is stronger than he maybe thinks he's going to be.
Right.
In retrospect, he probably wishes he could have started a yard or two up the field a little bit, just so he had a little bit more room when he made that roll. But
because as a defender, you're still like, I'm not beat, right? Because you may have to step on her, because so I'm still staying on his hip. Once he puts a stick up, Gavin does too right there. So it's like as soon as he starts to put his stick up, I can still kind of throw that poke. And that's, again, one of the things I love about Gavin Adler's game, where he's not going wild, he's not trying to go over the head or anything. It's just that, okay, I know you have me topside a little bit, so I'm gonna watch you, I'm gonna stay on your head. Then the moment you start to put your stick up, I can throw that little poke, and just to kind of just throw you off a little bit, just to kind of be a pest.
Yeah. And I wonder, and you can't see super well in this angle. Even I know you're looking on your phone, but even at a bigger size, you can't tell. I wondered if the stick if Adler put that shot off, or if BO just kind of missed it. Because typically I would think he would maybe go low on Intamin. I would think, but he doesn't. It looks like he goes high, but I don't know. Like you're saying, if that's Adler's stick or not. I wish we could get a better view of that. So
yeah, but that's also part of it too as a defender, where it's because on Stick Talk I talked about it, where that's the Liam Intamin effect, where he's so good as a defenseman. You know, there's other little things that you can get away with when you know you have this like super elite generational, even though we overuse that term, but Liam Intamin really is one of those type of goalies where it's just like I think I can maybe throw this kind of effective stick just a little bit because the offensive player is thinking about where do I have to put this ball because it's Liam Intamin. Yeah,
no, call it whatever you want, Tillman Johnson, like whatever. But yes, right. It's definitely when that dude behind you is a wall, like, okay, I can take a chance here because he's gonna have my back. So, okay.
Yes. So on this one, as you see, he's going, okay, I got the ball. So again, score 7-1. Everybody's like, BO, do something. Okay, ball is out of bounds. So this is what when. For players when they get shut off, because I remember this used to happen to Jeff T when he was at Cornell. So you had to run out, you win it. This is usually where you have to restart your dodge. So as a defenseman like me, like this is like my most comfortable part of the field. So right before Brennan starts his dodge, Gavin looks back and forth. Okay, I don't have anybody. So again, I'm staying on your hip. This is where I'm having faith in just my defensive ability, and it's my strength. Low man wins. So I think it was what you just said earlier, Neil, where I think he kind of maybe Brennan's a little bit underestimating how strong Gavin is. And it's that thing where he's just like, you're not going to run past me, and I'm physically comfortable with meeting you at the point of attack and just throwing that poke check. Crazy thing, because as my high school coaches were watching me, like, Brian, now you get it. We're not having to throw insane crazy checks, just that simple poke check, because I'm not afraid that you're going to run through me. And I think when that play happened, I think that was kind of with the chess match between playing offense and defense, where Gavin kind of got in BO's head a little bit, where it's just like BO's kind of just like, yeah, I might not have it today, just with this matchup in particular. Not that I'm not going to do anything else, but it's just like I just have somebody that's just an elite defender on me. I make my dodge, and it's just like I'm not going to run through him, and I'm not going to be able to run around him. Just that simple poke check, and it's kind of just that thing where Gavin kind of just like, okay, like I know I can do this, and I think just mentally that plays around, that toys with the offensive player. Because again, 7-1 at this time. This is from my thinking.
Yeah. No, a lot of it. I feel like a lot of issues come from we're down big already. Mm-hmm. We got to make big plays and that kind of mentality. But okay, we got to talk about this is a trip, right? Like, come on, this is a trip.
What is it? Coincidental incidental contact.
It's hard to see. I'm gonna find that TLN clip where they actually have the zoomed in, and I'm like, yo, look at that right there.
I got you. I can see what you're saying. I can see it. Yeah, because then the ref calls, and I'm just like, I was going for the ground ball. He tripped over my stick. I didn't put it there. Like, there's a difference, right? Which perspective are we looking at this play?
No, that clip was everywhere, and I was like, that is a trip. It's my offensive bias.
Nah, I got you.
It's 100% one of those ones that's like, they call it and you're like, I get it. They don't call it and you're like, I get it. It's like a pure 50-50, like, all right. Then we come in and there's I hate that they cut that camera view, but
yeah, Adler, that's when they switch.
Yeah. Adler picks up the ball. I'm assuming he thinks BO picked up the ball and step to him, and then we kind of realize like, oh crap, he's not. Mm-hmm. Is that Adler right there? That is Adler, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so he's saying, hey, grab him, but they make the pass instantly. This camera angle sucks.
Yep.
And then I'm not sure who's on him there.
But then it's the same thing. So it's that situation where he gets to shorty. It's either Cavizio or no. I think on that one it's Danny Logan. Is on him. Okay. So where it's just like, okay, and he's looking and he's dodging to pass, and it's the same thing where it's just a bang play where he's ready to attack, and he does, and it's just like kind of that thing again where it's like that could have been potentially have been a second or third assist of the game, because it's like, again, we're playing pro, so these are elite players that we're trying to dodge, and he does exactly what he's supposed to do, is have his head up, and they're actually cutting, right? Because that didn't happen in the earlier clips. So you can almost call this a defensive breakdown, because the same thing. Brennan's has a shorty on him, so the post was like, oh, one of us has to slide to him, leave somebody open, but that's that bang bang play, and it ends up just not connecting.
Yeah, and you can see right there, he starts that cut. The defender's got his pole on him, and the second that pole leaves him, he takes off.
Yep, BO's got to step, I got to go, and then because again, that could have been an assist right there. Maybe it's a slightly different conversation people are having about him.
All right, yeah. So this is the one that I really remember, because I'm literally sitting right above that pylon right there, and I was like, "What are we doing here?" So it's that same action from earlier. They're setting the pick.
Mm-hmm. Then you just see sets the pick, and then okay, what are we gonna do? Because they're still with them. The slide's already starting to come.
Just jumped. This was the thing that I noticed about Atlas, was how well, I don't know if it's communication or what, or just practice, but watching Atlas slide and recover, scrubbing through this footage, was like, oh yeah, like they look like a team. I feel like a lot of times, maybe you get that first, maybe even the second slide, but because these dudes are practicing all the time, your whole like recovery package a lot of times isn't fully fleshed out. Mm-hmm. These dudes look this defense a lot of times looks like almost like a college, like in terms of like, we know what we're doing here. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that was a double pick, right? Because they pick off of there, and then there's a second pick, and BO's 5 yards off that second pick, and everyone is still completely covered.
Yeah. So again, that's not a situation where it's like Brennan O'Neill has to do something. It's exactly what you said, right? Because usually it's after that first pick, that's usually okay. Or after the first pick or the first slide, that's usually where the breakdown happens. And exactly as you said, there's no breakdown, and they played him well. So again, that's where I'm telling people, like, it's not necessarily what Brennan O'Neill is not doing. It's what Gavin Adler and the Atlas defense are doing, and that's just what happens when you get that number one billing. Because Dodge starts again, boom, everybody's exactly where they're supposed to be. So maybe people's perspective is he's supposed to just stop and shoot through his defender from two. Like, I don't know what people wanted him to do there.
Which is what he does here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm shooting. That's the one where he hit.
Yeah, well, that's the one where he rung that off the
that was
that. But yeah, I mean, he has no options at all, which again we'll get into. And like you said, what's he supposed to do? Just shoot, which is what he ends up having to do. In fact, you could argue maybe he should have shot earlier, but here he's coming down and Adler shows his first dodge. Adler starts hedging, so he rolls back. And then by the time he actually takes the shot, he's got two guys in his hand.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna go, right. So if he scores on it, great for Brennan O'Neill, great, you score. But honestly, that's not great offense. Where it's just like, but it's the thing where it's just like, you have to shoot, and he shoots. So that.
Yeah, you tell me what you think. I've always been a firm believer that there is no wrong way to play, as long as everyone's on the same page, we're going. But John Danowski used to say, I used to go to his coaching clinics every year, and he used to always say, when it comes to sliding, whether you're right or you're wrong, you're right, as in no hesitation. Like whether you are supposed to slide or you're not, go, like just go, because it's that hesitation that'll kill you. And that seems to be what Atlas are doing here, of like yeah, that guy probably didn't need to slide, but he did, and he ends up getting into BO's hands, and maybe we'll never know, but maybe that's the reason that shot hits the post instead of hitting the top corner,
right?
Because he slid. So
yeah, I'm totally, that's how I was taught. So yeah, I'm totally go or don't go. Yeah. Right. That's the Star Wars fans, to do or do not. There is no try. You just gotta go.
Yeah. Right? Of course, we had to get that Star Wars reference in here. So yeah, I really wanted that one to drop. Okay, so this is off of a face-off. I don't even know. Okay, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Who's that? 40's Garger?
Is that 43? Oh yeah, Gargar. Yep. On the Outlaws. Yep.
And then 43 for the Atlas.
Yep. Is Makar.
Okay. That's the hardest part for me watching this footage. Is like, who is who?
Because I think is this the play where it ends up where he's got a couple of seconds?
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Okay. Yeah.
So this is what I was alluding to earlier, where when BO dodges Gavin, and then you're like, it could have been a trip, for they didn't call it. So when I was talking about kind of being in his head, not so much that like I thought that BO was like in a bad headspace. It's just that thought about when I dodged him before he took the ball away. So with this, when he dodges with I think it's like 6 or 7 seconds left, like that's Brennan O'Neill. He can get to his spot in that 6 seconds. And I think that's where I was talking about, kind of like with that mental game that defensemen play with offensive players, where I think for a split second BO's like, I'm gonna go, and then he kind of thinks about it, where he's like, and then you look up, okay, it's 3 seconds left. I have to toss the ball into the corner. So just, as I said, like little things like that. So I'm interested how you think about it from the offensive perspective. But that's just what I was thinking with that play, where it's just something in his mind is just like, no, I'm not gonna go.
Yeah. No, I got you. Here we'll just.
I didn't think it was initially, because because I tweeted it out before, like I hate when there's like under 10 seconds and then we're like, okay, we're just gonna throw it in the corner. Like, no, goes to the case. And I don't think that's what the case was. I think he had every intention at first when that first few steps to dodge, and then for whatever reason.
Yeah. No, there's definitely some times when it felt like some of the few times they would have him pick it up off the end line, it was like with 5 seconds left, and it's like yeah, I think you're right. I think he's capable, but most of the PLL is like, there's 5 seconds left, we're just gonna hold it for 2 and roll it in the corner. So so before I start actually showing the footage, there were kind of 4 points I wanted to kind of bring up first. The first one is, and you hear this all the time, and I know you hear it because it's all over social media, and that's the idea that Brennan O'Neill needs to demand the ball more. And I think it's such a dumb analogy, because thousands of dudes demand the ball more, and there's only one Kobe Bryant. Everyone else is just a selfish ball hog. He doesn't need to demand the ball more. That's kind of an outdated terminology, I think, or a bad way of looking at it. Kind of like we've talked about it. I think the thing, and you sort of touched on it earlier, I forget what exactly you said, but there was a video that came out last summer, and I'll put it in the video, where Michael Sowers was talking. It was that big round table.
Oh, yeah, I remember he said that.
And Michael Sowers is talking about one of the big adjustments for him.
I think for me, it's changed over time. Like when I was younger, my dad used to always preach, like, let the game come to you, let the game come to you. And it usually did, and I think it's because, like everybody here, like at a younger age, I was playing at like a higher skill level than my peers. So like I can kind of impose myself when I wanted to in the flow of the game. Now, because you're playing against guys that are so good, I almost feel like if I don't insert myself early, like I almost feel a little bit removed from it. And I'm somebody that like, I got to get into a flow, and so I think it's changed for me from letting the game come to me to inserting myself. And that's why I usually try and get into it early, like off the end line, like take a run, because even if I miss, even if I get stripped, it's like, all right, like I'm here, So I think it's definitely changed for me over time, but now it's, I gotta insert myself into it.
Yeah.
And I say this as a fan of Brennan O'Neill's, who watched pretty much every game at Duke, watched him with Team USA last summer, has now obviously watched him for 4 games with the PLL. there's so many times when I feel like Brennan is waiting for the game to come to him, and he's gonna have to learn to in sometimes in some situations to go and take a run, to go and kind of attack the game. And that's going to take an adjustment, because I'm not sure that it's really who Brennan O'Neill is as a person. He seems to very much be that team first dude. You talked about it. He's fine with pulling himself out if that is helping his team. The game before this, pulling himself out and letting the other guys play 5-on-5 seemed to help. Those dudes were lighting it up. This game, obviously, that didn't seem to help, and it was probably a little bit too late.
Yeah.
The other one, they look off Brennan O'Neill all the time, and it drives me crazy, because look, everybody in the league is talented, but there's no doubt that he is your number one guy. Mm-hmm. And when you see guys, and there's a clip I'll show you, that don't even look at him in his direction, that dodge with their sticks at their waist, they're creating off-ball actions, and the guy's got his stick at his waist, and he's not even looking to the pass or ready for it. It's such a bizarre thing. I'm like, why are you not even gonna look at the number one guy? Again, you brought up Lyle Thompson. Can you imagine not looking at Lyle Thompson and being like, I got this? And I think part of the thing is that they're all 22, 23, largely rookies who came from teams where they were the man. They were the Brennan O'Neill. And so nobody out there is thinking, oh, I got to defer to him. They're like, no, I'm the man. I can get mine too. And to an extent, obviously we like that, and it's necessary. But there are times when it's like, it's been all game and we are still looking off Brennan O'Neill like this is crazy. The third thing that I see a lot in this game is it feels a lot of times like I'm watching a men's league offense, where it's just kind of like everyone knows kind of general offensive philosophies, not even necessarily the same ones, and we're just kind of running and doing whatever we want. And again, I'll show some examples of that, because I'm like, what are we doing? Spacing is crazy. Movement is bizarre. It doesn't feel like there's a designed offense a lot of the time. And then the last thing is just clearly the Atlas came in and were like, Adler, you are on Brennan O'Neill all game. Wherever he goes, you go with him. Do you remember that clip? Oh man, I can never remember that dude's name. He's like a comedian, skit dude who does generally basketball. And there was the one after like the NBA finals one year where it was like the dude was like playing defense on the guy, like while he's in bed, he like follows him to the bathroom. That's what I felt like. That's what I felt like watching Adler. Like no amount of V cuts or C cuts or YMCA cuts was getting Brennan O'Neill open. So clearly that was like a emphasis for Atlas, is like, Adler, I don't care where he goes on the field, you follow him. And so then my thing is, okay, we see that's taking place, and maybe it takes you a minute. Maybe you're working your way through the first quarter or whatever. How do you get him? How do you get that matchup switched? Off ball actions, they ran very few of. Running picks on ball, letting BO come and set a pick and roll, getting that 2-man game going so that you can get him the ball. Restarts, there was for me, Brennan O'Neill should have started the ball off the end line every single time, because you're struggling to get him the ball. So that's an easy way. Nobody can prevent him from going and picking up the end line, and yet half the time it's Sawada. And then the other thing that I didn't understand was, okay, we've got him shut off. Why aren't we dodging at him? They do it a few times to pretty good success. They do it a few times. I think I have a clip of them doing it. But like, if Adler is stuck to Brennan O'Neill and he's going to have to think, do I slide here or not? Like that's a weakness. You would attack that, and they do it a shockingly low amount of times. So we'll look at the footage here. I think, did you start with, oh, this is the looking off. So this is, you see, this is a minute left in the fourth. So it's been the whole game. We're in a man up here. We're in a completely open set. The ball comes around here to Sam Hanley, and he carries it up, which I have to assume is an intentional like design of this offensive play, because otherwise why carry it? He carries it, and basically him and Brennan O'Neill are going to switch, and then the far guy comes into the crease area here. So then it bangs around. Oh, here we go. And when the guy on the far side at GLE catches it, look at where Brennan O'Neill is standing. Look at, I mean, this is that stereotypical football thing, but like you could drive a Mack truck through that lane, and he doesn't even look. He doesn't even look. And again, I don't know what their goal is. I don't know what exact play they're running, but how are you not looking to the backside? Because you know that should be. You've caused that defense to rotate. You know that should be where the open guy is. I think stereotypically in a perfect defense, you would expect it to be Handley, because who's number 5 for Atlas?
That's Tyler Carpenter.
Tyler Carpenter. So you would expect Tyler Carpenter would have already started hedging over towards where Brennan O'Neill is, but he never does. I mean, look, Brennan O'Neill is still. And then it just kind of resets. They set back up, and if I remember correctly, they don't even get a shot off on this play. I cut it, so I can't remember. I may be wrong about that, but I think they didn't even get a shot off on this play. And it's just like, why are we not looking it off, or why are we looking it off? So this is an off-ball action here. So I can't tell who starts with the ball. He's going to dodge. And Brennan O'Neill is going to wait. Is this what I?
Yeah, he's stepping back. He's behind the 2-point line by the 30.
Yeah, hold on. I gotta scrub through. I can't remember what play this is. Oh, okay. So I know why I started so early. Okay, so we're gonna start with the ball at X, and we're gonna set a pick for him. But it's kind of like what we were talking about, where the pick setter is going to end up with the ball. And again, I go back to the question of why not have Brennan O'Neill set this pick?
Right.
Again, not necessarily on this play, but at some points during the game, and make him be the on ball. So we're going to set the pick, roll, and throw back. Okay, so now Zawada has it at X. Now we're going to set a double screen for Brennan O'Neill through the paint area, I guess, for lack of a better term. I don't know how you feel about using other sports terms, but so we're gonna set a double screen, and I think Atlas does fairly well at this. But now we've got Brennan O'Neill on the shorty, and this is where you came in on that clip. But that I started a little earlier, because that action right there, I'm like, why aren't we running that off ball action more frequently? Again, I think about Steph Curry. You want Steph Curry to have the ball. When he gets shut off, this is the kind of action you see the Warriors run on the backside of a play all the time to get Steph Curry free, because you want Steph Curry to have the ball. And it's not because no one else can play on the team. It's because he's the guy. Like, I feel like we always have to preface that.
I got you. Yeah, and it's interesting too, the dichotomy between Brennan O'Neill on that side of the field and JT guarding Shelley on the other side, and the difference on how they both got them the ball.
Yeah. Well, there's one, I forgot to write it down, so I didn't mention it. There's I think it's the entire third quarter, the ball goes onto Brennan O'Neill's half of the field twice. It stayed on the far side from Brennan O'Neill's. I was like, what are we even doing? Right. Again, even if you're going to use Brennan O'Neill as a decoy, if you're not getting him points or getting him the ball, like you got to come at him. So we talked about it a little bit when you kind of went over this. Brennan's got the shorty, he dodges, and it's not just Adler, but whoever that is on the far side of the crease also slides. So Brennan O'Neill is occupying 3 players right now. what are the other 5 guys doing? Well, 2 of them are stacked up on the far side, one's in the middle, and 2 of them are stacked up on the near side. And we've got 3 guys defending 5.
Yep.
And there's no movement. There's no, I mean, look at him. He's ready to pass. Who's he supposed to pass to?
Yeah.
You could maybe make the argument for Sam Hanley right there at the 2-point line, but I think that shorty is close enough that by the time that ball comes across, he's probably flagging it, if not, deflecting it, sending it over. I'd say that dude is pretty covered. And
then being so close to each other also doesn't help because they're right next to each other, so I can guard both of you.
Right. So we go back to spacing. It feels like a men's league offense. So then we kind of already talked about this. It ends up with that 1-on-1, and I think this is just 50-50. They go at it. In retrospect, Brennan might have wished he started his rollback a little higher up the field, but you're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some on that. So this, we talked about what's another effective way to get guys to get guys good scoring opportunities, to dodge at Brennan O'Neill. So Brennan O'Neill is right there above the Cash App with Adler right on his hip, and Bundy is gonna start a real midfield dodge. He's not starting from the 2-point line. He's getting a good run at his shorty, and he can, again, an offensive guy has an advantage because he knows where he's going. So he gets a little bit of an edge and dodges right at Adler, who kind of shows, doesn't need to. And now he's got 34's Razanka, we said. He's got Razanka on his back, and he's got plenty of space. The only thing that sucks here is he kind of runs himself out of room. He doesn't quite cut that. And so I think he technically scores, but they call him in the crease. Oh no, he doesn't score. So, but he landed in the crease. So to me, that could have happened half the night as well. Okay, they're shutting off Brennan O'Neill. We're going to dodge at him because there's not going to be any help. Okay, so this we talked about earlier. This is after the trip where they got the switch and he comes in, and we talked about this earlier. They draw the slide and the guy back cuts, and it's not a perfect pass, but obviously he catches it and arguably should score there. So on this one, Brennan starts with the ball. We're going to set a double screen again. And this time the second screen catches and we get the switch. So now Brennan O'Neill is on Tyler Carpenter, whom they should know each other very well. Yep. From 4 years of playing each other. Yeah. And Tyler Carpenter, I don't know if you saw my video. Tyler Carpenter is currently my pick for Rookie of the Year. I love Tyler Carpenter.
Yeah, I saw it.
I have him as LSM of the year as well. This has got nothing to do with Tyler Carpenter. This has everything to do with Brennan O'Neill. If I'm Brennan O'Neill and all of a sudden I see Tyler Carpenter is on me, green light. I know that dude. I've been beating that dude in practice for 4 years. I'm taking it. So we scroll forward a little bit. He's going to come up. I honestly think he was probably looking to get rid of the ball, but Atlas is recovered. There's no one for him to really recover. So he's going to set up and dodge. We're going to get another pick here. Now he has the shorty. We got 5 seconds left, which kind of sucks. But what I'm looking at right here is this dude in the middle, kind of to the left of the 5-second clock right there. Mm-hmm. That's Sam Hanley. Watch him right here. Here, he is wide open. And I would argue Brennan O'Neill should probably throw this pass. In the PLL, he should throw this pass. But we're going back to that clip before this. I think he can see that. I'm not sure who that defender is right there that's hedging. I think he can see that, and he wants to pull him and have Sam Hanley cut. But watch Sam Hanley's movement here. He's going to fade out of this play entirely for no reason. He's just going to keep backing up. And so now, as Brennan starts this cut back up the field and fully draws that second pole, that back cut was wide open, but nobody's there to make it. And so one of the other issues that I see a lot that I didn't mention is non-offensive players staying on the field for a very long time. Now, remember, we picked this up off the end line, so Atlas already shot it. But who's this guy right here on top of the crease? That's Jake Pacino.
Yep.
Whom Jake Pacino is fantastic, and of all the long poles in the PLL, he might be the guy I want in that position. But there's 3 seconds left on the shot clock. We've already had a shot go out of bounds. Why is he still on the field? Mike Manley does it, Luke Weirman does it all the time, and I know we're kind of in this attitude now in the PLL that we want more lacrosse players. You know, we're getting rid of specialization. Everyone should play. But and to Jake Pacino's credit, he does try to make the cut that he sees, which blows my mind that he sees what Sam Hanley can't see.
Yeah.
But it's just like, man, why are these guys still in the field? So there's cuts, and then Brennan O'Neill ultimately tries to find this guy on the far back post, which he doesn't do a horrible job of. It's just too long of a pass with all those poles in the middle, and it gets deflected out. But movement, spacing, again, like that clip had it all. Terrible movement, terrible spacing, everything. So I think this is the one. This is the one that you talked about earlier, and we talked about how well Atlas recovers. So, okay, the double pick didn't work. Everybody recovers. Brennan O'Neill steps up here. I think does he have a shorty on him right now? He does, right? Yeah, he's got Logan. So he's got a shorty on him. So obviously that's a dodging situation for Brennan O'Neill. But watch the offense. There's no movement. It's a lot of guys standing around. Justin Anderson in the crease is trying to get high and away, but other than that, it's a lot of guys just standing there watching Brennan O'Neill work Danny Logan back and forth until ultimately Brennan O'Neill's like, screw it, takes a shot.
That's your Kobe point too, right? Just standing around and watching him do work.
Yeah.
Like I have to move.
Right. You know, it's that whole like, you know, where's my triangles? Like where's movement? There's no one. So you know, I don't know that there is truly an answer about, you know, was that game bad offense or good defense, but I think like most things, it's probably a little bit of both. They, like I said, having to study it, I was like, man, Atlas really is pretty good.
Right.
And you're showing me some things. Again, my mind's blown with that Adler push. I never even saw it. And as you're saying it, I'm like, oh yeah, I can totally see. He sees that pick and knows to push. That's one of those things I wanted to know because
that's awesome.
I never had that knowledge. So.
Yeah, people don't pay attention to that small little detail. I'm like, no, that's a big thing. It's not a stat sheet type thing. It's not a cause turnover, but it's like it's very intentional why he did that.
Yeah, and that's one of those things. One of these days we'll have to do like a breakdown of JT Giles Harris, you know?
Oh yeah, I'm here for it. Yeah.
So, but anyway, I appreciate you. Wow, that was 48 minutes. I appreciate you coming in and talking to us and spreading some knowledge. It's definitely something I appreciate. Hopefully the audience is getting something out of it as well. So appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, man. It's just like I'm always taken aback when people are like, Brian, I want you to talk lacrosse with me. I'm like, man, who am I? Like I'm just like I'm not one of those people. I don't think I know any more or any less than anybody else. It's just really just enjoyable just to see different people's perspectives on how they're seeing plays. Because even some stuff you said, I was like, oh yeah, I didn't think about it like that with the spacing. Because I'm just looking like, thanks, you're so close to each other. So I can guard both of you.
Yeah, that's the defensive side of what I'm saying on offense. When we have good spacing, it's just like, see, they can't cover us. We're good, but but you know, it's just one of those things. So but no, it's funny that you say that because I have that same thought. Scrubbing through this footage, I'm like, am I a fraud? Like I don't know that much. I'm not an offensive coordinator out here. Like, but then I'm also like, but if I can see it, like surely they can see it, right? But you know, anyway, thanks again. I really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.